Hi guys, just going to go through the writing project that Mr. Smith and I are setting you. Um, well done on all your poems. They are really, really good, and we've discussed them, and we are just absolutely amazed at the level of effort that everyone has put in. So, big thank you for all of your hard work last week. Now, again, I'm setting another project for writing, and rather than 1 week, this project is going to be 2 weeks. So it's really important to note that, I'm not expecting you to rush this and really expecting you to take your time on what you're doing. Now, this topic is linking to reading. If you haven't already looked at the reading lesson for today, you should see how it links. We were actually going to do this topic this term with you all in school, and we left it because actually we thought it was a really good topic to do towards the end of the year. So, we're setting it for you at home instead and hoping that we'll have just the same results as we'd have in school. The project is to do with a video called The Piano, which we'll watch together now. If you are wanting the link to the video to look at again at a later date, it is on a website called the Literacy Shed, and it's also on YouTube. If you just type in the piano Literacy Shed on YouTube, it should come up. So we'll watch it together first so that we know a little bit about it. I want you to think about, as you watch it, the time period and how you know what time it is. So let's watch it together. It's only about 2 minutes. Now, I'm hoping you were able to infer the message there. Always makes me a little bit tingly watching that because I think it's such a beautiful video. If you didn't get the general storyline, it's about a man who is sat playing his piano, quite an elderly man, and then he suddenly has a flashback and remembers being in the war, World War II, and he remembers his wife who sadly died and is no longer with him, and all of the tragic things that happened in the war. And I'm assuming, and every year that I've taught this, people have the same answer. The little boy at the end is his grandson. So quite a sad video, and the music I think is quite sad to go with it as well. Now I've tried to differentiate the tasks this week. We are looking at narrative writing, so we're looking at story writing, and there are two different sort of paths you can take really with that video clip. I do suggest watching it a few times so that you really understand what's going on, pausing at a different point just to recap so you know what you've seen. So you can either, for task 1, rewrite the clip as a story. So obviously we're watching it as a video, there's no text, so you could write the text that goes with the video, the story. You could write it from the man's point of view in first person, I, so you could actually be the man and write in his viewpoint, or you could write from third person, somebody who's watching what's going on. The challenge really for this piece of writing is to write the story with a flashback, because of course we see the man have 3 different flashbacks in that video clip. So how can you challenge yourself? Well, if you're going to choose the flashback option, then you're definitely challenging yourself, and you could write it in second person, so that you using the pronoun you, so that the person who's reading it feels as if they are the character, and you could do that in present tense, which would be really tricky. Some of you are really good at that now, and it'd be good practice for secondary school, and I know that they'd be really impressed if you go to year 7 being able to do something like that. So just to recap what a flashback is, if you're going to go for that option, a flashback is a technique used by the author to take a reader back in time and explain something that's already happened. We have looked at flashbacks this year, and some of you have done them already. So they normally start in the present tense. Then you have your flashback in the past tense. Remember, in terms of the layout, to show that there's a flashback happening, we normally put it down the middle of the page. Or make an indent in the margin so that it stands out, and then you go back to the present tense. Now, targets for this writing. So what am I looking for in this piece of writing? Well, I'm looking for lots of emotion for action. You know, it's a very sad clip, and lots of memories that are quite sad and important to the man. Personification phrases, for example, sorrow leapt through him, and if you can't remember what that is, look back at last week's video, but I'm pretty sure all of you are secure on what personification is. And I'm really looking for you describing your settings, your characters, and your atmosphere. So really describing what the man can see, what he can hear, how he feels, and every flashback will have a different emotion, really, because the flashback of him being with his wife will be very different to him being in the war. He'll feel very different emotions at those 2 different points. And how are you going to do that? Well, you could use adjectives, similes, or adverbs. Now, as I said at the beginning, this is a 2-week project. And if we were in school, we would spend at least 2 weeks doing this, if not more. Now, in terms of what I'm expecting you to do over the 2 weeks, because I really don't want anyone saying to me by Friday this week, I'm finished, I don't know what to do now. I'm really looking for you doing the work in this order. And you should be independent enough to be able to do that at home. So this is just a breakdown really as to what I'm expecting you to do. So you'll first of all need to watch the video again and decide what you're going to write. Are you going to challenge yourself? Plan using the same planning format as last week, the boxing up format, and that should be at least 2 lessons, at least. Do it really big on a blank piece of paper. Felt tips, that's fine. We sometimes do that in school with felt tips. Then I'm looking for you to at least 2 lessons planning. Then generating vocab. I want lots of good emotion words, similes, personification. And that should be at least 1 or 2 lessons. Number 4, draft, edit, draft, edit. Really good authors are constantly drafting and editing their work. And please send them to us for feedback. If you're going to type it on a laptop, then obviously you can attach it on eSchools. I know Mr. Smith has just put out a video explaining how to access eSchools and attach things. So make sure you do that, and then I can actually really look in detail if you've typed up, but I appreciate not everyone's got laptops. Spend at least 3 lessons on that, really drafting and editing. And then number 5, our favorite part, publish like a perfectionist, and you can spend as long as you like on that. You can do some lovely drawings, make it really creative, and you should only be on number 5 once you have really done in detail all of the other things. If you've forgotten what the planning format looks like, it looks like this. And the audience, you're going to have to really think about that, because your audience will really drive your writing. If it's an older audience, your vocab will be different to it being for a younger audience. I am going to attach a PowerPoint on eSchools so you can actually go through all of these things in your own time. I have attached on here some different sheets that might help you when you're generating vocab, when you're planning, openers that you can use, pictures that you might need to help you when you're generating vocabulary. For some of you, you might need this, a really clear structure as to what happens at each part of the story. And this will help you when you're actually writing. If you have got a printer at home, I do suggest printing out the pictures so you have got some sort of order. And, just really take your time with this piece of writing. It's one of my favourite topics. I'm gutted I've not got to do it with you all at school, but I really think you'll be taking time at home doing the same. So remember, it's a 2-week project. It's due in on Friday the 8th of May. If I haven't seen anything from you, then I will be needing to phone home, because there are some children who I'm yet to see some writing from. But those pieces of writing I have seen, the poems, were phenomenal. Your vocabulary, and actually you might be able to use some of your vocab from your poems in this piece of writing. Use your reading books to help you that you're reading at home. Is there any vocab in them that you can be using for this piece of writing? But really take your time with your work, and we look forward to seeing your writing. Refer back to this video throughout the week. Check on your eSchools if I've put any more resources on to help. But this is 2 weeks, and we want a really good piece of writing by the end of 2 weeks. Take care, all of you, and have a great week. Bye.